Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So what you're going to learn today is how to utilize catalysts. We've already done a master guide from ilSpooky, but I wanted to provide a different perspective and insight. So what we're going to do is we're going to be, boom, freezing, pausing, and talking about his gameplay and breaking it down. Now, we're going to talk about how he utilizes his tactical, when he decides to push, and when he doesn't push. So we're going to be doing a little bit of pausing here at the start. One of the biggest things right here, even at the start when we're reviewing this, is where he places his tactical ability. The tactical ability is always placed, and it takes a little bit of practice too to make sure you nail it down there. But when we look at it later, he's placing against the wall to make sure that it's a wall, very much like a Watson trap. So if you play Watson, the same mindset and how you play Watson can be applied to how you could play Catalyst as well. One thing that he's doing is he's always trying to make sure that he's isolating an opponent out best he can. Sometimes this doesn't work always in his favor, especially when he gets run up on, but ilSpooky is really, really fantastic at isolating opponents out, which is also what Catalyst's strength is to making sure to slow an opponent down, to wall off an opponent, or to even block off doors. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that today, specifically when it comes to the tactical and isolating opponents. So if you want to learn how to use a tactical, this is going to be your bread and butter. And by the way, be sure to support ilSpooky, watch his master guide as well to learn all of these tips. And what you're seeing here is everything broken down a little bit more in real time. Now, the trap here, let's talk about this trap, why it's so effective. Even if he gets damaged quite a bit, it will take a minute, if we pause right here, for the opponent to really push in. Let's say he got cracked for more damage and went up and decided to heal. This person would either have to take down the tactical or would have to push through and get slowed and take even unnecessary damage. And even if it was a very clean, equal fight, it makes the opponent very nervous on what they can do, and all you need is for the opponent to hesitate. Hesitation is really key to ensuring you win. You're probably wondering why he swapped armors here as well. Another thing, he put tacticals on both ends there, and he split the tacticals as well to cover more ground, which is also really, really smart. So place them down, especially while you're healing. Now here's another example of what you're about to see of never peeking the same spot twice. Even if you have the advantage, notice that he'll instantly take another angle and decide to push. The reason why he's got the advantage here on this fight, but also the advantage as well from, you don't want them to have the advantage on you and knowing where you're at and what your next play is going to be. Hesitation is what gets you eliminated, and one thing that Catalyst really capitalizes on is ensuring that you're always making sure you have the jump on the opponent because you're isolating an opponent out or getting them to hesitate. Oh no, the wall is up. Oh no, the tactical is up. Oh no, there's a door in the way. And that's all you need is for them to start thinking and for them to start pausing. Now, ilSpooky is really, really fantastic as well with his aim. He does play on controller, but it doesn't really matter the input, but getting the jump on the opponent is always one of the best things that you can do to ensure you want to fight. So right now, he's already got the jump on the opponent with no abilities here, whether you're on Catalyst or whatever legend you're on. And you got this advantage, you got to capitalize on it. And this is why speed and momentum of making sure you rotate properly is really, really important. Don't window shop. You'll notice another big tip here is that he's very clean and efficient on what he wants to pick up and what he wants to drop. He'll drop things later while he's moving too, so that he's always on the move. So that he's not like freezing out in the open and just standing there dropping items. And sometimes he might pick up a few extra items, but he can easily drop them while he's moving around, and that's perfectly fine. Standing still will literally get you eliminated, just like you saw with the Fuse and the Wraith there. If you are not fast and not on the move and looking for opponents, it's going to catch you out, and it's going to cause a lot of mistakes. So another big thing is that during this POI, if he took shots and nobody third-partied him, then you can be confident that you're pretty safe. You'll notice that his tactical placement, again, is always on places that he's going to reset to. This is a reset spot. Think of like your tactical as like a Watson fence. Again, it's that same mindset if you play Watson, same mindset if you're playing Caustic. So you could apply these tips also to other, oh, can't go up on the very top one. See how it's blocked off and he caused the Wraith to even have to think for a moment? Thinking is what gets you eliminated, and that elimination is really key. One thing that Spooky does specifically with his tacticals is he doesn't hesitate to re-pick them up and drop them again if he places them incorrectly. Practicing your placement, especially as Catalyst gets nerfed and readjusted consistently with her throws, it's really important to understand that distance so you don't have to think about it, especially when you're healing. Those are really good moments, and you'll see that he does that more so. Maybe he won't do it in this gameplay, but I've seen him do it a lot, which is very, very important. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of commentary, so if you feel like something is overwhelming, pause it, rewind, and now he's trapped him so in case he tries to leave, or even get the trap in general. The beauty of Catalyst is being able to throw your ability while you are shooting, and that takes a bit of time, or even trying to preemptively do it. That takes a lot of practice. That's a lot of inputs to put in and a lot to think about and be able to do it confidently, switching back and forth. So learning how to do it while you're shooting or also right before you're about to shoot, it does come in handy because it's another thing your enemy has to think about. It doesn't seem like it would be a strength, but it really is. And so throwing those down, now if you don't feel comfortable with it, go in the range and practice it, of course. But again, it really has its power, and you shouldn't really sleep on it whatsoever. And there you go. Boom, right into the spikes right there. Now he's got to reset, though. Even if his teammate is here, he's got to reset into the spike. So now the enemy has to hesitate. So he's kind of holding these power positions. And even if they decided to go all the way up, then boom, you've gotten your opponent and you got the jump on them. Why didn't he stay there? This is probably the question you're asking here. If his spikes are all up top, why wouldn't he stay there? Well, he gets a jump on the opponent by staying on the move, right? The last knowledge the opponent has that he was up top, and now the opponent doesn't know where he's at. And so he gets a jump on him and manages to get more damage done because while the opponent is falling, they're missing their shots. So remember, staying on the move. Just because you put your spikes there, it can also be utilized as bait to say, okay, I was here. Right? I was at this location, but it can't confuse the opponent because that's what they're going to look, because that's the last information that they had. And they always assume Catalyst or Watsons always play on their fences, but you can bait them or juke them out by placing them in unique spots to have the enemy essentially get confused on your positioning. So right now what you're going to watch overall is a 20 bomb elimination with Catalyst. Catalyst is a fantastic legend. Again, it doesn't seem like it would be a very aggro legend. But to play aggro, you need to isolate opponents, and I hope when you step away from this video, even if you don't play Catalyst, that you're learning a lot about isolating opponents and baiting them out. Remember, it's not about sitting in one spot and you can do a lot of damage, but retreating and finding a different angle to shoot from, or making sure that you finish up your opponent quickly, and then you reposition as fast as humanly possible. That's your overall goal and objective. Now let's get back into the next encounter. What's big here is Spooky's rotation. So Spooky is always rotating and on the move. One, it creates more eliminations, and yes, you can catch opponents out like this. You would think, wow, who was this bad player and what were they doing? They weren't playing bad. They just weren't expecting the unexpected. And that's really what your key is to catch enemies out. Now, you'll notice that he didn't go for the Kraber right away. Not enough time to swap weapons. Went for the SMG and R301 combo. Goes for the armor swap. Armor swaps are important in a fight. Now let's talk about this. Now before, this is an important note because this gameplay is not necessarily older, but they did recently nerf Catalyst. That this now has bleed through. Now before, he probably would have gotten eliminated here, or after the nerf, that is. And the reason why is because he's hiding behind it. This has bleed through now. So this is a little bit of a note. This is a little bit of an update, and Spooky has changed his gameplay based around this, but it's important to remember that there is bleed through on that. But before, you could hide behind it and it would soak a lot of damage. It is insane how effective that was before as well. A lot of people didn't utilize that, so that's an old tip. But just to remember, if you are utilizing that tip and you find yourself getting eliminated, you have to change up your playstyle just a little. Oh my gosh, the opening right there with a Kraber. It's important not to get greedy off of guns, another tip, so what you saw earlier, to stick with your current loadout and not change up until you have a moment to breathe, because you never know, you have to start the gun, you gotta put ammo in it, you may not have the right attachment on it, you have to really be smart whenever you're deciding to do that. So it looks like he's caught between two teams. Now you're gonna see how he reinforces doors. This is to buy some time. You'll see as well, he doesn't use this tactical quite yet because he knows they're not breaching. So he's gonna hold on to the tactical for a little bit later. Once he realizes that he might get pushed, he places it on areas that are gonna be the more dangerous spots that he's afraid to get pushed on. Now, he leaves those spots. Once you place stuff down, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there forever, okay? One of the biggest tips that I always provide, even as Watson, is you want to stay on the move. This is a good example of staying on the move when information changes. If you don't have any information, no information is information because you're being told something within the scenario. Now, this is a good wall to isolate some opponents out. Very important. So he's going for the armor swap. He's trying to clear the team up front, but also trying to delay the team in the back. So let's look at this wall again. Right? Because unfortunately, if he backs out from the encounter, the team from behind is going to push him, right? You're kind of put into a really rough spot here where you have no choice but to keep moving forward. The team behind him is missing shots, so this is good, but he's also got the jump on this team because he did the damage, and now what he has to do is reset and keep pushing forward. If he keeps pushing forward, the goal here is that the enemy team from behind will hesitate, it does work here. Because now once they hesitate and they freeze, this is his jump. This is his moment to reset. And now he's got himself a portal to buy himself even more time, which is even better. So this is a big dub. And as well, once you see this, he tries to reposition. He goes for the armor swap to buy himself some HP. But he knows that he has a Kraber for some opening. And my God, this is a lot of damage. This is a aggro play, but you're playing the odds, right? You're playing the odds based on your skill level. If you know you don't have the skill level and the aim to back this up, that's okay. Just make sure that you play aggro based on the shots that you know you can hit. Absolutely insane plays by Spooky here. Now he's got the reset. Remember the team all the way in the back? Now they're so far back, they have no information. And no information for them is information, meaning that they need to survey the land to get info on what they need. And now because this massive fight is broken out and he pushed through and cleared his back, he can now push forward. That wall was monumental to buying himself some time and telling the other team that they don't have time to push. But because he's got the Kraber, this Kraber was able to create big openings, which is also really important to do, whatever legend that you're on. Creating openings, sky nades, pushing forward, every bit of it helps immensely. This was a good cleanup. Now, you'll notice he's always going for armor swaps because it's a faster way to heal rather than, you know, spending your time trying to pop a bat. Even though it is a red armor. The reason why is that he's just looking for an opening. So what he's facing off against here is the last team, which is a Watson and a Gibraltar. Two legends that don't have mobility, but all he has to do is wait for one to make a mistake. Notice that he stopped his aggression here, okay? I'm going to pause for a moment. Notice that he's waiting. You're probably wondering what he's waiting for. Let's reiterate that. He's waiting for a mistake. The mistake he's waiting for somebody to overpeak. There it is. There's a mistake right there. Now all he has to do, if he gets a knock with a grenade, then that's it for everything here. That's all he's waiting for. He's putting all that pressure, and then he puts the wall. The wall's going to delay the Gibraltar because he's not going to be able to see his teammate. Even when his teammate comes through, his teammate can't even call where he's at. Let's talk about the beauty of this wall right here. This is brilliant. Yeah, look at me. I mean, listen, the freak out there is well warranted because this wall is smart. The Radiant was smart. His teammate can't even call where he's at, what's going on. He can see him now, but he's baiting back and forth to buy himself even just a little bit of time. And he's got the armor now. Now all he has to do is do a little bit of damage and find his opening in the mistake. So he slows things down a little bit because there's two things that Gibraltar can do. They can res or they can push. And right now they're hesitating on the res. He might have been able to get that res off, but he hesitated. That spike there is to avoid the Gibraltar making the decision to push. Let's talk about this tactical right here. Because he places it, because if the Gibraltar had pushed, and that means he would have been able to slow the Gibraltar. And he only forces him at that point just the ability to res. And the second one goes out. And this is a great funny ending. Gibraltar ends up getting so pressure so much that he ends up falling off. But the wall, and keep in mind that the wall initially was to block off the Watson. But the visibility here as well was key to making sure that he didn't go for a res, and even if he did, that he had no idea where the catalyst was coming from. And the ducking and weaving can be a little tricky for most pro plays, just FYI. The wall going back and forth isn't going to net you anything, but whenever you have an enemy panicking and you're ducking and weaving, it definitely works. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out Spooky's full video where he breaks everything down. We are producing shorts, and this is going to be pretty much your channel to master Catalyst as well. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.